Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order and I'll just read the land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Shelburne resides within the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and the people of the Three Fires Confederacy. These traditional territories upon which we live, work, and play and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions. It is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect the past and present connection of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways, and resources. So just moving to the adoption of the agenda, can we get a motion to adopt the agenda, or does anybody have anything they want to add or put on the agenda before we do anything?
No, I think
No?
I'm good. I can move that.
Okay. And can I get
I'll
a second?
second.
Second from Deb, all in
Yeah.
favor? And that's carried. Okay. Any declarations of pecuniary interest from anybody in the committee? Not?
No.
We can move for the adoption of the minutes of the Arts and Culture Committee meeting of January 15th. And if I can get somebody to move that, that would be good. Put this thing over here so I can see. Anybody say anything? Put their hand
I'll
up.
move.
Deb's got her hand up.
Yep, okay, and can I get a seconder for that? Bella, did you want to second that? Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. So moving on to new business. And I'll get Wade to start off with that regarding the CAN history org information.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. As I was saying before the meeting started, I'll point out at the outset that I am here in my personal capacity as a friend of Neil Orford's and as a supporter of what he's doing. I think Neil was actually scheduled to be at the last scheduled meeting, which was canceled. And then when it got rescheduled, he's in England. So with the time difference, it just wasn't possible for him to join. So he asked if I could step in on his behalf tonight, and that's why I'm here. So we'll just ask Alice to flip over to the next slide. Oops. Disclaimer, this is Neil's slide deck. I don't like doing slide presentations, but here we are. There we go. Okay. So the first slide that Neil put together, I think is just really just a little bit of information about CAN Hist. This started as kind of a passion project for Neil after he retired from teaching. And then it grew into something I think much larger than even Neil had originally anticipated. But essentially, what it is, it's an organization that plans and promotes programming and tours that are based around history education, mainly in Europe and touring of certain battle sites and things focused around war memorials and commemorations. In the years that Neil's been active with this organization, he's developed quite a number of partnerships throughout the county, and some of those are listed there at the bottom. Next slide. A couple of years ago, and this is kind of where I got involved. Neil and I, just through some casual conversation, actually started talking about, wouldn't it be nice to be able to bring some high level speakers to Dufferin County, nationally recognized intellects, writers, artists, people of influence that typically tend to gravitate to larger urban centers. And the thought was that, if we can draw some of these people out to smaller communities within Dufferin County, it would be a real, advantage for our residents to be able to see some of these great minds in person and be able to interact and speak with them and ask questions. So as a bit of a loosely based partnership, Neil and I started this. It's certainly not a profit making venture. That's not the intent at all. If anything, we're hoping to eventually break even on this. We've yet to do that, and that's kind of where I'm involved through my own business. I provide some sponsorship along with a number of other organizations and businesses in the area. Over the last couple of years, we've had Gwynn Dyer, John Lawrence, Elizabeth Renzetti, Dr. Tim Cook, and we have a number of other speakers that are kind of lined up for the spring and summer of 2025. We've focused on two main venues so far. The primary one is Grace Tippling Hall at Town Hall, and our second venue that we've tried to highlight is the Museum of Dufferin. One of our speakers, actually Tim Cook, we had to move to Menora Park just because of the scheduling conflict. But the idea is to try to focus particularly on the most northern part of Dufferin County, because that, I think, tends to be, an area of the county that often gets overlooked when it comes to some of these opportunities. Next slide. The next big event that we have planned is for April 30th, and it is a pop folk group called the Fugitives. They're based out of BC, but they are Juno nominated. They're fairly well known in Canadian folk circles. And Neil first saw them late last summer in Fergus, and they're doing a performance right now called The Ridge, which is, and I haven't seen it, so I'm taking Neil's word for it, but it's sort of a musical tribute to the Battle of Vimy Ridge. And from what Neil said, it's quite a lively production, and a really nice way of kind of bringing a different perspective to the commemoration of that battle, which many say is one of the defining moments of Canada as a nation. Next slide. This slide, I think, is just Neil's attempt to show what rich history Dufferin County in particular has when it comes to commemorating our veterans. Certainly, when he was a teacher at Center Dufferin, he unfortunately not long after I left the school, so I missed out on these. But Neil started planning a series of trips to Juno Beach, and taking students and veterans to Juno Beach. And there's a number of commemorative plaques over there highlighting the work that students from Center Dufferin did. There was a great partnership with the Museum of Dufferin through their archives in terms of doing research on local veterans. This is something I know that really is near and dear to Neil's heart, and something that he is proud of in terms of the local stamp that's been put on veterans commemoration. Next slide. So with this in mind, as Neil would say, perfect segue. He through his organization is looking for some municipal support for the Fugitive show in April. And I think where this started was he had a discussion on Remembrance Day with Denise Morrissey, our town CAO, to see if there was any opportunities for a partnership with the town, along with the other partners that he's already lined up. And I think the recommendation was that he get before this committee. And with him not being here tonight, here I am. Next slide. So in terms of the specific ask, the budget that Neil's put together for this show totals out at about $11,000. That's all in. It's the cost of booking the performance, providing for their accommodations for the night, as well as the sound and equipment and everything else. The ticket prices have been set at $40, and the thought is that that's hopefully going to be a price point that's achievable for most people, but also one that will, help cover some of the costs. But there is a gap obviously left there, even with some of the sponsorship that we've been able to obtain. So I think ideally what he is looking for would be a contribution of $2,500. And I think he envisions, that contribution to be matched with, a full listing of the town as a partner. I think the image there on the cell phone with the town's logo on the bottom is kind of what he envisions in terms of marketing materials. So I mean the town's logo would certainly be prominent, along with the Small Towns Big Ideas logo, the CanHist, and the FM 101, which is another big sponsor. And move on to the next one. I think that is it. So if there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
So you were talking, Wade, about $2,500. Is that what we would pay, or is the 11,000 the town with that together, like, or are they two
No,
separate?
so the 11,000 is the total cost for putting on the event, and I think
Okay,
Neil's ask is a contribution of 2,500 from the town of Shelburne through the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee.
okay.
So with charging a fee, I can't remember how many seats Grace Sibling Hall can provide. Obviously, there's no guarantee that it will be a full house, but if there is a profit at the end of the event, do you know what that will be then used for, or like where it's going to go, maybe to support the next event, or how is that going to look?
Yeah. So ideally, and Neil and I've talked about this for the last 2 years. I mean, we would like to get to a point where he has a bit of a war chest, as he calls it, in the Small Towns Big Ideas account. I mean that account right now exists basically of whatever Neil and I have put into it, to fund things. But ideally, if we do ever get to a point where the revenues from any one show exceed the expenses, then yeah, it would go into Neil's war chest for the next event. There are two more events that are planned, one for March and one for May or June. I think it's May. So that money would go to subsidize the next show. I'm not sure that anything would be made on this particular show, just given the cost. I mean, this was a tough one. We struggled just given the booking fee.
Yeah.
In most cases so far, we've been pretty lucky to catch some of these speakers on book tours. And that tends to be our strategy when we know they're going to be kind of in the GTA. We wrangle them in, and for the cost of a hotel room at the Best Western and dinner out, they'll come and do it. These guys flying in from BC obviously were a bit different. So they are doing another show in, I think it's Midland, the night before. So they were in the area, so we didn't get stuck having to cover travel costs. But certainly their regular booking fee and their accommodations.
Of course, makes sense. Okay. And that's understandable. I mean, obviously, we as a nonprofit, you want to have a cushion.
Yeah.
What's the usual attendance looking like at the shows in the past?
So what we have seen is roughly around 50 to 60 people showing up for the speakers. This one is going to be the first kind of musical themed event, so I don't know. We don't really have a good comparator in terms of this one. Neil did say when they were in Fergus that it was well attended. I mean, if that's any indication, we can hopefully do a bit of advertising down in that area as well for people that may have missed the show when they were there. But yeah, the speakers so far have been getting between 50 to 60 people.
What sort of music is it? I think folk or
It's folk music, yeah. Like I say, I haven't heard these folks, but yeah, it's folk style music, and I think there's storytelling involved through it, and they sort of walk through the whole Vimy Ridge battle. It's kind of a neat concept. I mean, it's not something I would have thought of doing, but here they are. They're, obviously successful on tour.
Mhm. It sounds interesting, like kind of cool, something different.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and the other thing that Neil pointed out, I mean, this wasn't done on purpose, to be honest. It was just kind of, by virtue of the fact that they were in Ontario, but March is the month that the Battle of Vimy was fought, so it is kind of cool to have them here during that month.
yeah, very cool. Maybe too, if you can provide us with some literature, like, advertising or whatever, and we can, as individuals, share it around our socials and things like that as well, just to help spread the word, and maybe even get other people that we know to put it on their Facebook pages and things like that too, right? Because the more eyes that see it, the better.
Yeah,
that
I,
would be
I, I yeah, I don't think he's finalized everything yet because in part he was waiting to see what the answer was going to be here to know whether or not the town logo is going on stuff.
right.
But the town staff has been really good, and as part of the booking of Grace Tippling Hall, they're gonna do some stuff on the electronic screens, and then once kind of that whole marketing suite is done, I'll make sure that we share it out widely, and yeah, to your point,
Perfect.
you can then share it and on your platforms too.
Awesome, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
So, anybody have any other questions or comments they want to ask Wade before we finish with that? Okay,
They can't be legal questions. We're in the Arts and Culture Committee, guys.
it's a what? No, yeah, right.
No political questions either.
No, no political, no
Oh,
politics.
wait, that's a good one.
Okay.
All right. I can make a motion to support this in the amount of $2,500.
Okay, can I get
I'll
a
second that.
And that's
Perfect.
good. Yeah. All in favor? And that's carried, I think. I can't see anybody else's hand
You
there.
Yep.
get
Thank
free
you all.
tickets. That's just a joke. That's a joke. And so I said it after the vote.
I'll personally buy you a ticket now that you've already voted. Now that
Yes,
you've already
yes.
voted.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I do have to
Good
laugh
point.
though when Linda called the question all in favor. I mean, just out of instinct, I almost put my hand up.
Kind of a habit.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all.
I have
I
a quick
appreciate it.
question. I have
Sure.
a quick question. Do they need people working at this event?
Hmm.
Volunteers
That I
to
will
work
let
at
you
the
know.
event?
We
Probably.
do actually have a team that we've already kind of assembled from some
Okay.
of the other groups. Again, this one's a little bit different, so we might need a few more bodies. So if that is the case, I'll maybe just
Reach
flip
out.
something over to Alice and she can send it through to the committee. Yeah, but there's a group of about 6 or 7 of us that have kind of pulled together and made the other events work. Yeah, these guys may need a bit more attention though. They did have a bit of a rider and list of things that they want in the change rooms and whatnot. So there might be some
Donuts
running
and-
around. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, thank you all. I know
Thanks,
that
Wade.
Neil will appreciate it as well, and I'll pass that along, and I'm sure he'll wake up to the good news tomorrow in England.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thanks so
you.
much for coming on his behalf.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Talk
Guys,
soon.
it's kind of like poetic justice to vote for something that Wade's asking for, as opposed to like vice versa.
What's that?
It's kind of like poetic justice to have to vote for something Wade is asking for instead of vice versa.
Yeah, well, we can ask for something later.
Yeah,
Sure.
It
exactly.
felt
Like-
really good, powerful.
Think about
like
what it
more
could
money
be.
for our 2026 budget.
Yeah, you have to increase the budget now.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good
Thank you.
night.
Good luck.
Right.
Good luck for the rest of the meeting.
Okay, so item 6.1 is museum traveling language exhibits. Who's speaking to that?
So Linda, I have that information.
Sure.
So if I could just, before I go into that, if any of the committee members do want to attend the event, based on how the town has handled paid events for other things that a committee is supporting, the town will pay for your ticket for the event should you want to go, as it'll come out of the committee budget. But any guests that you want to bring with you, you'll have to do their tickets, just to make that clear to everybody, just before we move on. So the museum traveling language exhibit, this was actually brought up at a previous meeting. It was carried forward. Unfortunately, the individual from the museum was unable to attend the meeting tonight, but she did share some pictures with me. So I'm just going to share this real quick. This is one of the exhibits that was set up at a library. So you can see that there are 7 panels, and there's information on each of the panels. And then this is somebody viewing another setup of the panels. And then you can see this individual viewing the panels. This one is specifically on their sign languages. This is specifically about sign language. So if you look on their website, the traveling exhibits that they have, there's one on Chinese languages in Canada. There's one on sign languages of Canada. There's one for dictionaries and Indigenous languages, 150 years of language in Toronto, celebrating Canada's language, one on Cree, the people's language, one in speaking the Inuit way, one on French in Canada, and one specifically on Canadian English. So the cost of these exhibits is basically you pay for the shipping to the town, and then they have set up for a week or however long you've agreed, and then they get sent back. So there was some talk that it might be a good idea to consider one of the Indigenous ones to do in September in coordination with the DEI Committee's National Day for Truth and Reconciliation event.
Yeah.
Would be something that the committee could consider if you were interested in it, and we could set them up in Town Hall at the top of, in the lobby outside of Grace Tippling Hall.
Remind me how much it was?
No, that's enough.
I believe it was $200. I'm just trying to scroll back through the website real quickly. Just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. I thought it was like 2,000.
No. Let me just see if I can go back.
Because when I was like, whoa, geez.
Yeah.
I hope I read it wrong.
Yeah, so there's 7 panels. Each panel is 7 feet high, 32 inches wide. Let's see here. Let me see if I can pull up the other email from her. Yeah, no, I don't have it here.
It's in the minutes, where's?
Yeah, $200 per week. And that covers the shipping costs as well.
Oh,
So,
that's
an average time.
I love this idea. I just was a little worried when I thought I read 2,000 and I was like, oh Lord. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love the idea, but $2,000. So yeah, 200.
200.
Yeah, no problem. I can vote for that. No problem.
And what
My
time?
question is, do we get more traffic at the library than we would at Town Hall?
That's a tricky one, I guess. I mean, I think probably more traffic at the library, but I'm worried about space at the library.
And the other thing is, we're here to promote the town hall and all the cultural things that we have planned. So I think that's
Yeah.
to think about.
Yeah, I I love the like the idea of the library, but again, I worry about because there's what you said 7 panels on yeah. So the library is quite small. That the only way that could be facilitated, I think, at the library would either be breaking them up and having some upstairs and some downstairs, or opening up the meeting room and having them sort of displayed in the meeting room. And then I question whether or not people would actually go in to read them, or they're just going to bypass and just go up the stairs, right? So then we may have the exact same attendance kind of level as we would at town hall. So
Okay.
I mean, either or, like I'm fine
I
with
was
either
just
or.
curious. I've
Yeah.
only been to town hall once, and that was for Oliver.
Yeah.
And I've been to the library a number of times, so I just wasn't sure who was getting more activity.
Yeah, and I agree too. I think there may be less activity upstairs outside of Grace Tippling Hall than if we had room sort of in the main lobby. We have some room that maybe we could put on the one side. I don't know if all 7 would fit there, and maybe we could try and split them up on either side. But
She
I don't
did
know.
say it's not recommended to split them up because they are kind of designed to flow in an
Okay.
order that
I
you
see what you
move
mean.
from one to the other.
Yes.
And if we did it in coordination with another event that's already happening at Town Hall, like National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, for example, right, then you're advertising 2 things together.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I didn't realize, that like you said, they kind of go in concession one after the other. So is there a way too that on the day we sort of have the event, we could have them at Jack Dowling Park? Is it okay to have them outside for a little bit when people are coming to the ceremony and to the walk?
What if it's raining?
I think it would have to be weather dependent, and then it would also,
Yeah.
we would have to make sure we would have the people available to move it from one location to another.
Okay.
They don't look like they're extremely complicated to move.
They look
We
like
would
what
be-
we use for family transition place, where they're actually in a box about this big, and then they
Then you
just
pull
pull
them.
up like a blind
Yeah.
and hook onto the top. So
Yeah.
they're pretty easy to
Yeah.
take up and down.
And we're liable for any damage, of course, anything that would happen while they were in our possession.
Of course. So I think it'd be awesome to have them, at the ceremony at JD Park. But of course, again, weather permitting, right? If it's really windy or if it's rainy or something like that, then clearly no. But I think this year was really good, I believe, right? I think we had nice weather. I remember just being in a t-shirt. So I think it was beautiful for this year. Doesn't mean that'll be next year, but in that case, if the weather is nice and seems to be okay, maybe we can do that. And then I can always stay back instead of going on the walk, and I can put them all down and make sure that they stay safe and that sort of thing. Like I could do that without any problems. But again, whatever works. I'm open for whatever.
So
Well, I move that we do it.
there's multiple exhibits. The committee would have to decide which one they want to request. So what I would suggest is make the motion that we're interested in doing it. Let me reach back out to her and see if there is availability based on what you're saying. I think you're agreeing potentially around September 30th, Day of National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. See if there is availability at that time. And if so, which ones, because there's a couple of different ones that might be appropriate, and see which one they would suggest would be the most appropriate. And then I can bring that final information and ask about whether it can be outside and bring that to the next committee meeting for a final decision on which one.
Perfect.
Okay, can I get somebody to make a motion to that effect regarding the traveling language exhibits and it being on September 30th date?
I'll move that.
Okay, Debbie, and seconded by somebody, Lindsay?
Bella will second it.
No? Okay, I don't see Bella anywhere, so that's why I don't.
That's okay.
All in favor of the motion?
It
Yeah.
passes.
Okay. So the next item is the curling club mural update. Does anybody want to give us some information on that?
Yeah, I can speak a little to it if you want, Alice, or if you want to go.
Sure. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
I was over at Live to Wrap, and they had initially started to print the panels, and they were coming out kind of fuzzy and weren't looking very good. So I sat down with Katrina, and we kind of did a couple of different treatments, I guess, to the photo itself to try and enhance it. And we got it looking pretty good. But the problem is when we enhanced it, we noticed there's a lovely coffee stain on the top part of the corner. So I've asked Alice to ask Jennifer if there's any other copies of that image, just to have something maybe a little bit better. And if that worst case there isn't, then Katrina does have a girl that she works with that does a little bit better with photoshopping. So we'll send it off to her and see if she can just touch up that little area for us. There are a few other little imperfections, I guess you could say, in the photo, but I don't think that they're terrible, because it just adds to the nostalgia of the
Right.
photo being as old as it is. But the coffee stain doesn't. It kind of looks like a coffee stain. So it doesn't really add to the old time photo. It adds to somebody putting a coffee on the picture.
What
So,
was that,
yeah. So
Lindsay?
pardon?
Which photo was that?
That's the one that's going to go on the building first. So it's
I know, but which photo was it?
yeah, it's like the visual
Train
of the
station?
downtown.
Okay.
So it's not, I think it's literally just the visual of the downtown.
Okay.
So the coffee stain kind of looks at on the top of the left hand side of the photo. So yeah, so there's just a little delay in getting that kind of up. But I mean, with the snow that we've had lately anyways, we wouldn't want to be putting up the
No.
panels right now. So it's not like it's a big deal. We did decide on the frame that looks like the frame at JD Park. So go ahead, Alice.
No, we need to formally
need to.
decide.
Okay.
What's
Yes.
that?
So I guess we need to sort of make that decision, and just so we can go ahead with it, obviously. Again, when I had sent the sort of email off, my sort of opinion on it, which is maybe different from anybody else's, but this is just mine. I think it's a pretty generalized frame that tends to look good with a lot of stuff. Like, I even kind of looked at it with the other two black and white photos that we've already chosen as well for the next murals, and it fits those pictures as well. And to me, I feel like it ties all the murals in. So even though they're in different areas potentially of the town, they
They'll
all
be
have the same
consistent.
frame. So there's some consistency. But that's just, again, my opinion. So, if you guys don't agree with that, then that's okay too. We can figure something else out. Yeah, so that's kind of just where we're sitting there. We did look at the wall as well. And so we figured out where we're going to actually place the first picture as well, because we want to make sure that there's sort of, it looks even on the wall. So when we put that one up, we know we've got the black and white ones to go on either side of it. And then I think there's room for two more, and then there'll be like an empty space on either side. So there'll be balance between the whole wall, so that we don't we start on one side and then all of a sudden we get towards the door and there's an empty panel, right? So we've got the two smaller panels on the end left to stay, with nothing in it, unless we find something that's, a smaller photo that we can put in there as well. Otherwise, we've got them laid out now so that the color one is in the middle, and then the two black and whites. And then if we want to, if we're still working on that wall, we could probably do two more colored ones on the end, or we can keep them black and white, so that way there's, again, a consistency across the wall. But yeah, so that's kind of just sort of what I know so far. and we're just waiting. Alice is going to chat with Jennifer because she was away, and to see if we do have a little bit of a better image. But if not, then we'll send it to the lady who does the photoshopping, and then that way it can be fixed up, hopefully, ASAP.
And so did she say how long it might take them to get that all ready to go to be installed eventually?
Don't think it would take too long once we're definite on the frame for sure. Tonight we'll vote on that just to make sure. And once we figure out sort of just that coffee stain kind of image, she said that it can be printed and put up in like 2 weeks. So as soon as, we've got just those two kind of final things worked on, and I don't think it would take very long if we can't have or we can't find another image. The Photoshop shouldn't take very long. So it could be up by, like, I would love it to be up kind of early-ish spring, but once this crazy amount of snow is gone.
You gotta get rid of the snow.
Yeah, exactly. And then the only other thing was to Katrina was mentioning that in the images that she sent, I guess the reason why she was talking about size being a little bit different than the other quotes that were sort of given from the other companies was because she shrunk it a little bit, because along the bottom you can see in the photo she sent with the markup, like how it would sort of look on the wall, you can see a dark line, and that dark line tends to be where the snow normally sits. So it's got that. So she shrunk the, her initial quote, the size of it, just so that it didn't sit below that line.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I said to her, I said, well, if we have to, because you've already quoted it at the size you quoted it as, which was basically going to take up, below that line where the snow tends to sit. I said, we may be able to just push it a little bit higher on the wall, so that it doesn't sit where the snow would potentially gather up. So, that's something we can discuss a little bit closer to maybe the install date, just so that, we're aware. But I mean, worst case, if it goes where it goes, we'll, this will be our first trial run. And if it doesn't seem to last or whatnot, because the snow does pile there, then our next ones, we can kind of adjust.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody have any other comments or anything they want to make regarding that? So we just need to decide on the frame. I guess my personal opinion is just keep it consistent. Instead of trying
Perfect.
different things. Anybody
So
else?
do we need to make like a motion for that then, Alice? Like to accept the second frame, I think it was, that had been sent through?
So
Or can we
just for
just say the same?
simplicity's sake, just say the same frame as the one at Jack Downing Park as
At
the
GD
previous
Park.
mural.
Okay, perfect. And then we all know what that one is.
So
So
you're making that motion, Lindsay?
yeah, sure. Yep. I can make that motion for sure.
Can you get someone to second that? Deb? Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. And then the next item is movie nights at Grace Tippling Hall. And a discussion about free movies and newer movies. Does anybody have information on that? Okay.
So I did, after the last meeting, talk to staff, and there was discussion at the meeting about doing one in the summer and then potentially in October and December. So the staff is holding 2 dates in October, October 18th and October 25th for potential movie nights. And then in December, they're holding December 13th and December 20th. There is some
What days?
availability. Those are Saturdays.
Saturdays, okay.
All Saturdays. May is not really available, but there is some availability in June if you wanted to do something in the summer. August and September are open, and then there is some availability in November as well if you were thinking doing October, November, and December. So because Grace Tippling Hall does get booked up, they have held 2 dates in October and 2 dates in December until the committee makes the decision. So that we have that, at least we're not going to lose Grace Kipling Hall and the availability to do
Maybe-
that.
Make a decision about the dates tonight, and then we know we're done. What do we?
And then it would just be a matter of which movies still.
Yeah.
And it's, and to do a newer movie, we can basically get any movie. The town is looking at paying the fees so that we can have access to the library, the film library, and we can do new movies. And they've even got the offer that they can do a pre-showing of Moana 2 before it's released.
Hmm.
So, you know, there is availability of even new movies. So we don't have to decide on a movie tonight, but we, you know, if you wanted those dates in October and December, those dates should be decided on so that
Yeah.
we can release the other dates that are temporarily held right now for the committee.
Of course.
So what was the date in September?
So we don't have the
Yeah.
September date. I have 2
October.
dates in October and 2 in December. So
What
October
October dates?
18th,
Yeah.
October 18th and October 25th. And then
I-
December 13th and December 20th.
Might be good to have an early December because it can get
Yes.
Christmas, too many things are happening.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking like the October 25th might be cool because if we were doing something Halloween related,
Yeah.
you want to be a little bit closer to Halloween. And then I think you're right, Linda. I think the 13th of December is better just because the 20th is quite close to Christmas and
Mhm.
we may see people away,
Yeah.
right? And already doing their own family Christmases and things like that.
Okay, so do we need a motion for those dates or do you just want to make a note of it?
Is it possible just to recap the dates one more time? So sorry.
Yep, so it's Saturday, October 18th or Saturday, October 25th. And then the second dates are Saturday, December 13th or Saturday, December the 20th. And then if you wanted to add in November, really the only availability on a Saturday in November right now is November the 1st,
Okay.
which would be very close to
Very
the
close,
October
mhm.
25th.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Um,
And then you
and
said there was
then-
something in like June as
yeah,
well?
I'm just pulling up the June calendar as well. There's June 14th
Okay.
or June 28th. Now,
Okay.
June 28th would be, technically that would, because July 1st is on a
Right.
Tuesday,
Oh,
that
it's a
would
long
technically
weekend.
would be the long weekend, correct?
Gotcha. Okay, so that might not be a good thing too, just
Yeah,
in case
so
people are also gone.
August and September are both open. There's more
Okay.
availability in August and September. You know,
There's nothing in like May, like there's nothing.
May is booked.
Okay, there's nothing until June, and then okay.
What dates in August?
It just says August is open right now.
Okay.
So if we did June 14th, that's before school's out, then they would sort of know. what
June
the movie-
14th is that date that we were gonna, they haven't, sorry, the committee's still going through that Eid festival with the henna design artists and art, everything, so I couldn't submit it yet, Alice, but June 14th was the
right.
date that they were gonna propose.
What time of day was that gonna be?
It's a festival for the whole day.
Okay, so what?
And you also have potentially the student art show in June. So that would be a lot of things for
Yeah.
one committee
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
1 month.
Do you know when the
I-
student art show is in June, Alice?
That's
Do
next
I
on
know
the
when?
agenda.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not the same date. If it is, then I'm going to go back to, that's partly why the proposal hasn't been sent in yet, Alice. There's like 6 of us on the committee and everyone has an opinion. but it will be sent, but I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
get
fine. No,
it
that's
didn't get
okay.
in. Yeah, it'll probably be sent in by the end of this weekend and hopefully for the next committee meeting.
June
Okay.
7th was the date that we had sort of
Okay.
put as a possibility.
Lindsay,
Yeah,
are you
it's
going away
booked.
June 14th?
For me
Anything?
going away? No, I should be here.
Yeah, because I remember it was Kyle and yourself that's on the speaking list on behalf of the town.
Yeah, I think we'll be here. So, but yeah, June 7th we have booked the Ag Center for the art show.
Which one, June 7th?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and June 14th is the date. We asked Sue Pearson at the Agriculture Center for that. I don't know if she'll give it. And we asked the CDRC.
Okay. Yeah, as of right now, when I was looking back on Sue's message here, she had June 14th still available. So yeah, you definitely need to get on that because she had the 7th, the 14th, and the 28th was still available. But we took the 7th already, and so I don't know if the 14th and 28th are still available, but yeah, you definitely have to message her maybe tonight when we're done the meeting. Just send her a quick message that says like you'd like to hold on to June 14th if at all possible for the event that you're doing.
Okay, I just messaged her.
Yeah, because you want to snag that right away.
Yeah.
It may have to be the 28th if it's already gone, but
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so far-
I would love everyone there, like all of you there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe if we did one in August, because I think there's only one Friday nights in the park in August, right? I think.
What's the
Yeah,
date?
August 29th. So if we did something sort of a little bit earlier in August, and then we did one in October and then one in December, that's kind of one every other month, right? So
Yeah.
I mean that could work if we wanted to do 3.
So I have a date of August 28th. Is there another date besides that? That somebody indicated 28th at that time.
August 28th is a Thursday.
Thursday? Oh,
The other dates you're looking at are Saturdays.
okay. How does the 28th get
Do you
there
mean
then?
the 23rd?
Or maybe I'm not reading my writing properly, but okay, maybe it's the 23rd. Is it? That's a Saturday, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, if we wanted to do something a little bit earlier, maybe in August.
Yeah, so you did August, September, there's the 18th and the 25th for September?
No, there's nothing in September. It's October.
Oh, that's October. I've got it in the
Yeah.
wrong line. And then December.
And then December, yeah, 13th and 20th.
So which days do you think we should go with?
What you said everything's available in August, right? So far, all the Saturdays, Alice?
Yes, unless things have changed since the last email.
Okay. Okay, let me just grab on my calendar here for a second. Okay, so we have the option of we probably wouldn't want to do the 2nd. I think that's part of the long weekend, right? No.
Oh, good.
And so with the 30th would be part of Labor Day
Yes,
weekend.
the 30th
so
would be part of Labor Day. That's right. Okay.
So
So we have like the 9th and the 16th and the 23rd. Is the Civic long weekend the first, like the 2nd, 3rd kind of thing? I think.
yeah,
Correct. Yes.
yeah, the civic
Okay.
holiday is the 4th.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, the 2nd would be part of a long weekend again, which may or may not be a good idea. So, I mean, I say more like the 9th, the 16th, or the 23rd. So, I know, I'm just trying to think of my vacation starts on the 15th and I'm off for the 18th through the 22nd, but I also have um AMO conference in Ottawa to attend. So I don't know if I'll be here on the 16th. I have to see when I'm leaving for that. I think I leave I think I get there for the 17th. And then it's the 18th, 19th, and 20th. I could be here for the 16th.
What about the 23rd? Getting close to the end of the summer holidays, kids are bored.
Yeah. Um,
I'm really nervous. I really hope I get these dates on my calendar. I don't want to
I was
miss
just
anything.
gonna say, ask if Alice could send out all these dates that we have committed to. I put in my calendar,
Forget
but
about them for a while.
if we could get a list of all the dates,
Lindsay, will she
Yeah.
get paid overtime if she like sends us calendar invites too? There'll be like bonus pay.
There's a possibility. Um, yeah, I know. I'm torn between the 16th and the 23rd. Just because once I come back from Ottawa, I don't know what I'm going to do with the family because that's our vacation, the rest of my vacation week, right? So we may want to go away up to the cottage, to Jeff's parents' cottage, and then that means I wouldn't be back until the 24th. And I mean, you guys don't need me. I mean, it's just
No. We gotta do it when you're here. Let's change it.
like if I'm not here, I know you're fully capable.
Someone was telling me, we're talking, oh, it was Bonnie's, okay. It was about, we're talking about campaigns, so I won't say who. And, they're saying like, oh, who is that person in Shelburne, that lady in Shelburne? She never campaigns, but she still seems to get on council. And I go, it's because of all the events she does.
Right? Exactly.
I think that's my theory about how she gets the votes. I don't know.
And hopefully just because I'm approachable and I answer everyone whoever emails me or sends me a message. Sometimes I inject myself where I probably shouldn't, but at the same time I feel like that's part of my job. So
we
Yeah.
have, like, I guess, what are the weekends that we have the concerts in the park? Because
yeah,
do
that's
we
the
wanna like have too much going on
Mhm.
over the summer? I'm just trying to find that email with the concerts in the park.
Right. Yeah, because the Friday nights in the park, there's only one in August and it's on the 29th. So, and then there'll be no events at Fiddle Park this year, but I'm not sure if there's any events that happen in August in the town in general. I'm not sure of that. So, because we don't want to, I mean, obviously we would try not to shadow a different event, right? That's taking place. But again, depending on the time that we do this, it may be fine if there's a small event happening during the day and then people could potentially go to the movie, in the early evening. That could still work as well.
When's Fiddleville?
No longer exists.
Yeah,
No longer exists. Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, unfortunately. And I'm trying to remember when Pickin' in the Park is. I think it's July. If I'm correct. So we should be okay with that. Plus, it tends to be a little bit of an older crowd at Pickin' in the Park.
Yeah.
Where, if we're doing this more for families, they'll have some younger children and things like that. So it might not really be a competition for Pickin' in the Park anyways.
It's in July.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I thought it was July, but I know I'm helping out at it because it's at the fairgrounds this year. But I don't worry so much about knowing the exact date until I get closer to it. Because otherwise I'll drive myself crazy. So I'm like, I know it's in July at some point.
Lindsay,
Yeah,
did you say it was at the fairgrounds?
yeah. So we're gonna be hosting it in conjunction or
July
in partnership.
24th to 27th.
Yeah, so in partnership with the fall fair. So we'll be having it there this year.
Mhm.
So fingers crossed, hopefully it goes well and maybe we can keep it there just because it would be nice to reap a little bit of the benefits to the funding that Pickin' in the Park brings in because they do tend to raise quite a bit of money and they're willing to help us, because we're giving them the grounds. They're willing to help the fall fair by donating some of those profits, which will be huge for us because we need some upgrades to the hall and the grounds in general, which we'd love to put the money into making the fairgrounds better. So I think it's going to be a great partnership, and I hope that it's successful so that maybe we can keep it at the fairgrounds.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I would feel comfortable myself with probably the 16th of August. Just because I'm pretty sure I'm still going to be here because I don't think I leave for Ottawa on the Saturday because the conference is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so we wouldn't get the hotel room that early.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I would be here for the 16th, but I can't guarantee I will be for the 23rd.
So why don't we do August 16th and then what other, like September, October, November, do you want
Yeah.
to fill all those months?
Yeah, so if we did like August 16th, then we could do in October, we could do something like I mentioned, Halloween wise. So we could either, I mean, the 18th it's only 1 week earlier than the 25th. So I don't care on either day for the most part. To me, I feel that it's 1 week. So, the 18th is still close enough to Halloween, in my opinion. But if you guys want to be as close as possible to Halloween, then we'd have to go with the 25th.
So what's anybody's opinion about that, those two dates? I think the 25th myself personally, but that's just me. Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I love the 25th as well. I think because again, you're just as close to Halloween as possible. So I don't mind the 25th.
Anybody else object to that or have any other ideas? If not, we can use those two dates. The other, November and December.
Yeah. So if we did the December, it was the 13th or the 20th. So I agree with you, Linda, in the fact of the 13th, just because the 20th might be just that little bit too, I mean, you've got either way with the 20th, right? Either people are done all their Christmas shopping and they're wanting to do some events with their family that, just calm it down a bit.
Well, and
Or
school gets out on the 19th this year, so if
Right.
anybody's going away,
right, they might go away that weekend then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And then that's the flip side to it, right? Is that the 20th is so close to Christmas that people are still gonna, potentially be starting their family gatherings. Some people have really large families, so they have 5 or 6 different gatherings that they have to attend over the course of that week. Some people are still going crazy with trying to get last minute Christmas shopping done. So yeah, you kind of have either or. You either have people who are ahead of the game and they're like, yep, I'm done everything and I would love to go see a movie on the 20th. Or you have people who are like, heck no, that's not going to work because I've got
the other option is if we have a children's movie and it becomes parents go shopping, leave your kids with us for 2 hours. We get but no, I guess 2 hours isn't enough.
It could be if they were staying local.
Yeah.
But it might be
Yeah.
difficult, if they have to travel to even Orangeville because you've got
Yeah.
drive down to Orangeville, right? And then
Yeah,
back.
that's true. Okay. I'll
I
zip
love
it.
the idea. I love the idea. So, but I'm not sure we're licensed to take care of all the kids. There might be some legalities there, unfortunately. We did this great thing with the Canettes one year, which was so awesome. Well, a couple of years actually. It was called Shopping with Santa, and we used to get donations of gently used items or new items, and then we had a room that we had everything set up in, and then we did it at the CDRC because it facilitated it. So we had the pool view room where the kids would go in and they would go shopping, and the parents would stay outside of the room, and we would take them around, and for $2 they could pick out stuff. We would wrap it and have it all ready for them so that when they left the room, nobody knew what they had. They just had their bag of goodies. But then in the other hall, the town and country hall, we would put vendors for the adults, right? So we would set up all the vendors for the adults so the adults can kind of go do their little shopping while the kids were safe and secure doing their shopping. And then obviously any proceeds that we made, it was all for like charity because we're the Canettes, right? Mm-hmm. It was such a great event. Like I absolutely loved organizing that event. But it took a lot of work. Like it definitely, you need a lot of volunteers because you need people there helping with wrapping, and then you need people there. We called them our elves. So the elves would take the kids in, one or two at a time and walk around with them and do their shopping. And then you had to have someone who was sort of on the other side as well, monitoring the all the vendors over there. And so
getting all your donations of prize, like gifts.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's a huge thing. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, it was a lot of effort, but man, it was so awesome. And, when COVID hit and we couldn't do it, you heard the disappointment, right? Like the town was just like, where did the Shopping with Santa event go? Like my kids loved it. It was so awesome. And so I've tried to resurrect it personally myself, but it's hard because it does take so much work that, people that I've tried to rope in to help me are, when they realize how much work it is, they're kind of like, yeah, no, I think I'd rather not. So
some of the schools in Orangeville do that. They have it at their Christmas bazaar where they have a kids room where they can go shopping.
Right, exactly. And it's absolutely awesome, and I really loved it. So I really wish we could somehow bring it back, but for right now it's on the back burner, and it's still in my mind, and I still want to try to do it, but it may be difficult for one person only. So I mean, are we okay maybe with the 13th then, and going with December 13th? So we still have sort of a holiday movie in December, but it's not too late.
No. Good.
Perfect. Okay, so we've got August the 16th. We've got October the 25th, and we've got December the 13th. So those are the dates on the floor for the motion, and I can move that motion.
Sure. Can I get a seconder on that, please? Deb? Okay. All in favor?
Sure. And
that's carried.
Perfect. All right. So at least town can release the other dates now for the hall. And we can decide on the movie later.
So, so are we doing the art event now? Because I thought we just did that.
Yes, we would be discussing the student art event now.
Yeah. Okay. So date availability from the Ag Society. And
yep. That was June the 7th.
Okay.
So we would just need a formal resolution from the committee choosing that date for the event.
Okay.
Right.
So that we can actually do paperwork with the Ag Center.
Okay.
I will move for June the 7th.
Okay.
Perfect.
Seconder.
Bella.
Okay, all in favor? And that's carried.
Perfect.
Okay.
So for that event, just before we move on, Linda, there was a flyer that was sent to the committee for review. A few changes are going to be made to the flyer. We're going to have a staff member's email as the email contact for the flyer. We're also going to have the flyer indicate that it's for Shelburne and surrounding areas.
Okay.
So that, because we know that there are students at the Shelburne schools that are from outside Shelburne, we don't want to be excluding anybody. So we're just going to change that wording a little bit. The committee has not made a formal decision on, you know, if these are being sold, how they're being sold, are the proceeds going back to the students? So like the logistics haven't been decided. So my suggestion would be for this flyer just to take that information out, because this is just information that is going to the schools to get interest from the schools. So we don't necessarily need all the logistics of that information on this flyer. That was just some of the feedback that I got when I showed it to other staff members within the office. We love the look of the flyer, but we also wanted to make sure the committee had the opportunity to make any comments per that flyer.
Did you do that yourself, Deb?
No, my marketing department did.
Oh, I was gonna say, I didn't know you were a graphic artist.
No, I'm not.
No, it was good. I thought it looked pretty good. Okay. well,
Valerie Copeland in our
Oh, yeah.
office did it.
it was
Yeah.
good though. Okay, so that's all done. So we'll just
The other thing that was suggested to me, is if the funds go towards something like the Breakfast Club or something, but I mean, there's so many, if there's only 10 pieces of art from each school, and let's say, you know, each piece of art is selling for $20, it's not a lot of money going back into the programs, but I don't know. Like if it doesn't go to the kids, if it goes to something for their school.
Yeah, or even art supplies,
Mhm.
because I know we did that a long time ago.
Yeah.
We have art supplies that we had to.
Anyways, that's something we can discuss prior to June.
Yeah, I just didn't want the committee to be locked into something right now.
Yeah.
It might be, you know, based on how much interest we get, might lead that discussion somewhere else. I just didn't want the committee to lock themselves into something.
And I just want to get the flyer approved so that I can go to the schools. Like I've already talked to Highland Heights and Tammy's really excited about it, and, you know, go to the other, and she's already reached out to the other principals
Okay.
in the area to just give them a heads up that they're going to be hearing from me. So, you know, just so I have something to drop off at the schools.
Perfect.
So who's
Okay.
gonna, print that? Is the town printing that?
Oh, I'll print it at work.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only gonna
we
do
can print it as
15
well.
of
There's
them.
not
That's-
that. Yeah, there's not that
50
many
cents a
schools.
piece. I'm not worried. I'll eat that.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's all taken care of. So participation in Fridays in the Park. So is there anything that we can do or what that we're thinking about, or any ideas everybody has for that? Because it's a great evening.
I've never been to one.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
at the previous meeting, this was brought up where, you know, you could have a table, you could have your keychains, you could have the walking tour brochure, which is going to be on the next agenda finalized with the QR code and everything. Having the button maker, which I got the email that it shipped today, so it should be here shortly. So just, you know, just to promote the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee, this would also be a great opportunity to advertise for your movies that are upcoming.
Yeah.
Right?
And we
Just
get
make
so many people
aware.
out on the Friday nights, so it's really a great way to get all those people in, and then they get to find out more about what we're doing. as a
Yes.
committee.
So we're not
Exactly.
asking you to commit to all of them. But if there was one or two that the majority of the committee is available for, that way too, you don't have to be at a booth the whole time, right? Like you could trade each other off. So, pick one or two nights where you're all available that you could attend, that you could spell each other off for the event so you could attend the event as well as promoting the activities of the committee.
Yeah. No, I
Yep,
think-
for sure. For sure. And I think it would be great to have some flyers to sort of like, they don't need to be huge, but if we can put like 6 or 7, well, it need to be an even number, I guess maybe about 6 on a piece of paper, and then cut them up and then hand those out to people so that they have the dates of the movies
Yeah.
that we're doing. Maybe if we haven't decided on the movie, at least they have the dates so
Mhm.
that they know for sure. They're like, okay, we're going to keep in our mind, this day, and this date. And then we'll just keep on social media or whatever for when they announce what movies are actually going to be playing. But at least we know the dates, right? So obviously it would be a great idea to have a table before, our August 13th date or 16th or whatever the heck I said it was going to be. So something, in maybe the July 25th table for sure, so that we're kind of close to, that first August movie date.
Yeah.
Question, are we charging admission to these movies?
I don't think so, right? They're supposed to be free, I think.
It doesn't matter. We haven't decided on that yet.
Okay.
We can talk about it maybe in the next.
I worry that, okay, we just, if we don't have tickets, even if they're free tickets, is it first come, first
We'll
served?
we'll have to do a registration thing through
Yeah.
like Eventbrite or something like
Yes.
that.
Okay,
So even if they are free, they will have to reserve their ticket. Yeah, the committee
Okay.
hasn't, until we have the specific details of how much it's going to cost for the movie, we can't really fully make the decision on selling tickets yet.
okay.
Okay.
So will we be able to deal with that at the next meeting or?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have that information.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm hearing July 25th.
Yeah, I think for sure we need to have a table for sure for July 25th. And then I will look at my schedule and just see where kind of what my Friday evenings look like for the rest of them, and I'll kind of let you know if there's a Friday I know for sure I can attend as well, maybe 2 or 3 more, like depending, and then I'll just be there. It doesn't bother me either way. I don't mind if I'm here. Might as
A
well.
Slightly different comment relating to these dates with the music in the park. Do we know who the groups are yet?
I don't have that I haven't been given that information.
Okay.
Some of them will be busier than others. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they were all pretty well
Well,
attended.
yeah, they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
But
But
that
you're-
last one, they were kind of a little bit too hard rock. And then it started raining, so that was the end of that.
Yeah. That is true.
Okay, Arts and Birds planning. Anybody got anything to comment on that, or should we just move that to the next meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think because Kyle's not here, it probably has to
Yeah,
be
That's
to
why
be
I'm
moved.
thinking about maybe waiting until
Um,
next meeting to talk about it. Anybody else got any comments about that? Because if not, I think that would be item 7, which is adjournment. Anybody got anything else they want to bring up before we adjourn?
Next meeting, are we back on schedule?
Yeah, I think. What date's that gonna be?
2
So
weeks
the next
from
one
today?
would be Wednesday, March 5th, 2 weeks from today.
Oh, so Allison, should we submit the proposal tomorrow then for for the next meeting, for it to be in time for the next meeting?
I would have to have it by next week, Wednesday,
Request.
the 26th. If I had it by the 26th, I can get it on the agenda for the 5th.
Okay, great.
Does that give you enough time?
Yeah, everyone's looked at it. I'm just gonna tell them, okay, you guys have one more day to finish your,
Okay.
yeah. And Lindsay, yeah, Sue said the agricultural center is available, which saves us $500.
Perfect.
The
Hmm.
CDRC $690.
Yes, and you will need for your insurance as well.
Oh,
So I think it's only 150 for the ag center.
yeah, but then what? Okay, I have to see if we have insurance.
We
I
need that
don't
for the art show too?
I don't think so. I mean, it's recommended, but I don't think we request it yet from our rentals. It's been brought up a couple of times at the fall fair
The
meetings.
town
but-
always gets insurance for town events.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so we're good then for the.
We will get insurance.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I know. Yeah, the fall fair. We've discussed it, but we haven't really. We have our own insurance, and generally it covers what we need it to cover. So we haven't really stipulated that individuals require their own insurance yet, anyways. So it may be coming, but so far it's not.
Like we got lots of stuff planned for the next few months.
Oh,
Yeah, this is great.
Oh.
I'm
And if
So
I
it's-
can just do one other update before you adjourn, Linda. I did hear back from the Sawyer's family, and they
Mhm.
are in approval of Sawyer's Feed Mill as a name for a back lane. And
Perfect.
we did confirm that there are no surviving relatives of Mr. Rose, so we're good. So that will be going forward to council for council's approval of the three names. That will be going hopefully, if I can get everything done in time, March 10th, might be March 24th, but I will let the committee know either way which council meeting that will be going to.
perfect.
Sounds good.
It'll be so nice to have that finished up and then the brochure for that.
Yeah.
Really cool. I love that.
Good.
Great.
Okay. if
Did
there's
we
nothing
also
else-
find out if there was more of the walking brochures or remember
They need to be reprinted. Any brochures would need to be reprinted. There was only a few in the town hall, and they were so old that they had the old town website on them,
Oh,
not
wow.
even the new town website.
Ew.
Oh
So
my goodness.
they
Okay.
that's why they're not on this agenda, because I was
Okay.
asked to add it, but it needs some alterations before it can be added and printed.
Okay. And then I
Okay.
guess so that's something we'll need to discuss then too is finding how much that would cost to, because I know it's like I said, I remember it being like a pretty big flyer because it tri-folded and then folded in this way as well. So it was pretty big. So it could be costly, but I guess once we have the newer version of like you said, couple of things updated on it, like the town website and stuff like that, then we can look at getting some quotes. Because I mean, really, we need to know, right, before we decide whether it's worth it or not. But I mean, I know it's still available digitally, but like I said, depending on, it's tricky because the people who may want to go on that tour are possibly going to be a little bit older, and they would probably like a flyer, right? The younger kids that are like, I like everything digital, might not want to go on a walking tour. So it's hard. Like I get what Kyle usually says about, how it can be expensive and people just throw the flyers in the trash and stuff like that. But I think sometimes you need to cater to both, right? You need to have that digital copy in case there's a young couple that want to do a walk around, but they don't want to carry a flyer with them. And you have to have sometimes a little bit of a flyer so that if there's an older couple and they're, or single, I'm not saying you have to be in a relationship or anything like that to go on the walk, but sometimes they like that physical copy, right? I mean, I'm 44 and I like a physical copy, and I always have. So wherever I go, I always grab the physical copy of, the map or whatever. Even when it's just like the ROM, I still grab, that flyer, that physical copy to carry around with me. So, and I'd like to think I'm not that old, but, yeah, so I think that would be a great idea, just to get an idea of how much it might cost us to have at least a little bit printed.
Okay, any other items or anything that anybody wants to bring up before we adjourn the meeting? No, if
No.
not, I'm gonna get a motion for adjournment. From somebody,
Deb,
Bella moved.
okay, all in favor? And that's carried, thank you, it was a good meeting tonight, we got lots done.
perfect. Yes, I'm excited. We have
Yeah.
so many things on the go.
Yeah.
I just